women more power. More power. Forward with social justice, forward. Forward. Tom Onzere is a community paralegal and also a women's rights activist. In fact, I am a FIDA male champion for gender equality in Vihiga.
Tom Onzere, the founder of Magharibi Justice Center in Vihiga County. His journey began in 2007 and 2017, documenting the aftermath of gender-based violence during the post-election violence. Witnessing the brutalization of dozens of women and girls, Onzere became an advocate for the voiceless.
Essentially, it was my role in the post-election violence and documenting and highlighting cases of women who had been violated. There were women, especially around Kakamega, who lost their husbands. They watched as their husbands were slaughtered, and some of them even got infected. And those stories were so touching that I got involved into the fight for the eradication of gender-based violence.
Violation of rape defilement comes with a lot of stigma, discrimination. Ile like nikiongelea watanionaje, nikisema wataniulizaje. So ilibaki ile nibaki nayo kama machungu yangu na niyabebe. I was not able even to access a hospital, a police station. Ninge report wapi? Saa hizo marisasi zinalia, watu wanakimbia. Kweli ningekuwa na nafasi ya kwenda kuripoti ama niende hospitali, haikuwa rahisi. But nilisaidiwa na msamaria mwema, ule alinifanyia first aid yenye ilikuja ndani ya kichwa yake. Na first aid yenye ilikuja ndani ya kichwa yake ilikuwa ni kuchemsha maji na chumvi na nichome. That was the treatment I got. Society sasa ndio imeanza kubadilika. Hapa nyuma imekuwa like alijipereka ndiye akanajiziwa. Kwani alinajiziwa akifanya nini? Hangepigana. Wewe tu unakubali tu watu wa kunyajizi ukiangalia. But remember, hakuna mnajizi mwenye anakuja kwako kama hayuko prepared. One, wanakuanga armed. Kama ni mwanaume either ako na kisu ama ako na panga. Ukifata story sana ya watoto wenye wamenajiziwa, hata wamama wamenajiziwa, na kuambia nilionyesha kisu, nilionyeshwa panga, mahali penye nilikuwa, hata ningereza ni alamu ningechinjwa. Kwa hivyo walininajizi nikiwa nimenyamaza ama nilifungwa kitambaa kwa mdomo. So society huwa inaona mtu mwenye amenajiziwa alikubali, na si hivyo.
Because sexual violence is stigmatized and communities would prefer to hide the issues because they will say you are shaming the family, you are shaming the clan, and these are some of the issues we fight for. In such cases, we as women rights activists, we have to fight for the women to have space so that we create, we tell the men now, that is enough. Let us hear the alternative voice from women. So much as men are viewed as the perpetrators, as the aggressors, but it is our religion which has contributed to that. It is our culture, and it is the practice that is currently that tends to marginalize women.
Onzere has chosen to stand as a defender of human rights, challenging the repressive cultural norms that have allowed gender-based violence to persist amid the patriarchal nature of this community.
Largely, this community is not very tolerant of women. We have a problem in Vihiga of widow eviction. Currently, we have about 10 cases of women who have been chased away from the homesteads after the husband passes out. We have instances of gang rape. As I say, the level of stigma is still high, and they will tend not to come out to seek justice.
Here, women have no voice, and if violated, they have no right to speak up.
kulingana na ile kifo yenye mzee alikufa, nao wakasema I'm now not needed in the family because sasa hiyo kulingana na hiyo kifo kimila ni vibaya. Bwana wako akijinyonga, that family si familia mzuri ya kuassociate na watu. Baadhi ya changamoto zenye nimepitia kama mjane ni kwamba sometimes unaona hata kwa gate saa zingine ukipita wanasema hamfai kupitia huko, nyinyi ni wajane, bwana yako alikufa, what are you still doing here? Wewe ulikuwa maana wakati kijana yao alikuweko, hata shamba labda ufai kupata kwa sababu wewe si wa hiyo jamii.
Main challenges are socialization, culture and religion, which tend to ask women to be submissive, so that sometimes you will see a woman is violated but she is not willing to come out to voice because it will have implications. But I think the biggest challenge for me is the socio-economic empowerment of women, because sometimes it is sometimes traumatizing to see a woman being abused. You can see clearly this woman is being abused by the spouse, but because she relies on the spouse for her daily bread or for her sustenance, it means she just has to agree to the abuse, as long as the woman feels her children at least will be taken care of.
For Peter Chem, growing up on the slopes of Mount Elgon, one of the hotspots of gender-based violence in Bungoma County, has witnessed women's suppression by cultural norms and sexual abuse during election time, prompting him to face men in these hills head-on to find a solution.
What made me to start human rights defender as an issue because of the geographical coverage in Mount Elgon. We have been faced with several challenges in terms of violation of human rights, especially the women, children, because of the virtues that people embrace boy child in the region. So being one of the people, I decided that I can venture into this activity to support our people, voice their issues out, then collaborate with other people in the region of Mount Elgon. So we have been working since 2009 up to now.
Ukikombea 07 na 2017 kulikuwa na shida mingi, kwa sababu wamama wa 07 wengi walipoteza wazee wao na wengi walipoteza watoto wao, kwa sababu wazee walikuwa wanachinjwa na wamama walikuwa wanarepiwa. So huku unajua ni mwalifu ndiye anakurep ama ni askari ndiye alikuwa anakurep, kwa sababu wote wangekuja, askari akikuja mnatoroka, walifu akikuja mnatoroka. Saa mwezi kujua ni nani ndiye amefanya nini, amedivile watoto ama ni nani amekurep. Hiyo 07 wa mama wengi waliweza kupata watoto ambaye hawajui kina baba yao ni nani. So wamama wameweza kuishi na stress mingi ya 07. Then in 2017 pia hapa Mlima Elgon tulikuwa na shida ambayo wamama wenzangu waliweza kurepiwa, wazee wao wakaweza kuchinjwa na watoto wakaweza kudivailiwa. So kwa hiyo 2017 sisi hapa Mlima Elgon tulikuwa tukisikia tu election inakuja, inakuwa ni shida kwetu. Unajiuliza utahama wapi ama utaishi wapi?
Mambo ya gender based violence imekuwa sana na tunataka tuongelee na tusifiche. Watu wengi wanaficha na imeleta shida.
Men always fear to report cases, but they are also facing the same challenge. Like we had a case in Chebiuk where a man was chopped up with a female, but reporting is they say it was just an accident. They're not saying that a woman who did that. They say just an accident. So those cases are there. Then also, like on our side, we are male fear to report through female. They always report to male, and all male GBV ambassadors are a few, because people will say, "Your cousin, your mama." They will say, "Your GBV cases are for women. You man, how do you defend gender-based violence?"
Kama mambo ya defilement, wengine wanaokopa mambo ya kwenda kotini, lakini ninaomba tupate watu ambao wanaweza simama na the victim ama mwadhiriwa, alafu awache watu wengine kando, alafu asimame tu na mwadhiriwa. Hiyo ndio ingekuwa mzuri sana. So kuna vitu mingi imechangia, at least imeenda imepunguka kidogo, na kuna watu wamechukuliwa sheria na watu wameelimishwa pia, hiyo ikifanyika unaenda wapi, una report wapi.
We have done awareness through the chiefs barasas. When we have an opportunity to the funeral areas, our people represent us and say, if you hear such a case of defilement or any violence of gender-based violence, report to the nearest either police station or the chief's office, and then also we can also take over to do a referral in terms of the hospital. In doing so, that has enlightened the public in Bungoma so that people can come out and report the cases. Otherwise, other areas are even doing more than Bungoma are doing because of they have not that knowledge of how they report. So the awareness that has given out people to have essence of reporting has also assisted us. In terms of percentages, we are doing not very badly, but we need to put more effort so that we don't have even a case of GBV being reported in every area of this region. So our role is to identify partners like UN Women to support us capacity build, identify other partners like Haki Africa to support our programs.
In response to combating gender-based violence in the region, UN Women, in partnership with the governments of Italy and Ireland, rolled out training targeting human rights defenders, set up court users committees and gender desks in police stations and hospitals, focusing on hotspot counties like Kisumu, Bungoma and Vihiga. The program has supported counties in developing and implementing gender-based violence policies with a focus on legal, health, counseling and shelter services for survivors.
The court came up with a baby called Court Users Committee. That is a signal to you that if there is a window for you here, utilize it and bring your challenges before courts. And before courts is this Court Users Committee. So there is no blame game, because if you are not utilizing this forum, then you have a problem. So for us, we are not blaming anyone. What we are blaming is lack of utilization of this Court Users Committee, and making sure the only blame you will have is to blame yourself for having not processed this thing and reach the court.
When somebody now reports, we record. Then this case has reached where? Is it a police station? Is it the court? Because we have 3 members in our organization that are sitting in the Court Users Committee. We have one in Bungoma, we have one in Webuye, and then we have one in Sirisia. So we always track from the beginning. When the case was reported in Kimilili, it was reported to which police, then the file was taken to court, the progress of the cases. Before then, cases we could not track because there was nobody from the community or organization following the cases. Because just a case is reported in the maybe Kimilili Court or Webuye, that is the end. But now, because we sit on the Court Users Committee, we can easily discuss and deliberate issues that affect the people. Maybe in terms of the delay of cases, like issues that were coming out in the issue of the hospitals were charging people for P3 forms to be signed. They were charging 1,000. But after now, we sat down as a Court Users Committee, we raised through the charge Bungoma, and then thereafter, the Bungoma County took over, and now they are paying for 1,000. So it's just a matter of the case running without saying we have no transport, we have no money to go to the court. So that one is now sorted. So it has really impacted.
That coordinating collaboration was important for the journey that we're talking about in strengthening access to justice. Then alongside that, we also had another structure that we're working with, this, which is the Gender Sector Working Group in all the 3 counties, build their capacity, try and ensure that we have certain plans that have to be in place. But civil society presence in that space is so important, because then we were able to report, you're able to say, something is going on that is not right, it is picked up from there, and it is followed up again by the different duty bearers. So it could be the Ministry of the Health Department, like in Kisumu, you have the GBVRC Center, they would be able to respond to an issue that's raised. If you went to Vihiga, you'd find the hospitals taking it up, changing. And we've also seen how, because of practice, you actually have new policies that are then incorporated, or a new standard
of operating when it comes to dealing with GBV across all the 3 counties that we were working in.
Mwendo huu mdogo mdogo tutafikia wengi na wengi watafikia wengi na mwishowe watu wetu watakuwa na amani.
Through community barazas and sensitization programs, Peter and Onzere educate the public about the laws surrounding gender-based violence and penalties for perpetrators, and training male champions of gender-based violence at community level, breaking the cycle of violence and providing hope for a better future.
The fight for gender-based violence cannot be achieved by excluding the men and the boys in the space. So for male inclusion, we're involved in engaging men and boys as partners to the women and girls in achieving gender equality. And moving forward, we would like to see the justice centers escalated to the wards so that wananchi are able to access support for justice redress.
What we are doing now, we are supporting some girls, pay them fees to schools that maybe were unable to go to school or they who gave birth. We have supported around 32. Now we are running around 18. We are finishing the years. And then also in terms of training, they have done capacity building on documentations. You know, people not, they are not aware of how to document GBV cases. What do you track? So now people have now capacity and they can easily document and report. Then also do awareness with the community on when such a GBV cases happens, especially sexual violence issue, at what time do you need to report, then what are the procedures, how to follow. Yeah.
The fact that between 2017 and 2022, we had a shift from 1 elected woman MCA to 3. I think that is a plus for us. On the issue of cases, we may not have managed to really bring the cases down because of the creeping issue of corruption. Because with the time, the perpetrators are also learning how to destroy evidence, and this is becoming a challenge for us. But the fact that cases are being reported, for us it's a challenge, at least, and that people know where to report these cases is also, for us, something that we are proud of.
Besides awareness creation, Onzere is drafting a Vihiga County action plan for the Peace and Security Policy Bill that will aid in combating the rising cases as well as ensuring culprits face the law for their crimes.
Our starting point was to have a GBV policy. We have started work on it. We got the zero draft and the first draft, but we are positive before June next year we shall have a GBV policy in Vihiga. Secondly, we are also working on a county action plan for peace and security that deliberately engages and involves women. So once we have these policy frameworks, it is much easier to support women in the efforts to achieve gender equality. Among the other challenge here is our voting patterns. If we have more women in decision-making spaces, it is much better. I always go to a forum and ask most men, would you allow your wife to come in at 10 or 11 in the night? A men say, of course not, haiwezekani. But then you change it and you tell him, what if your wife is a chief or MCA? Then they say, in that case, they don't have much choice in the matter. So the issue of the power relations between men and women is still the biggest challenge in achieving gender equality and elimination of gender-based violence.
But one of the things that this project was also doing was bringing on board women. So in all the 3 counties, we worked with women human rights defenders, which actually meant we brought them visible. They've been there, they've been doing a lot of work, but now we have brought them visible in the sense that they are now collaborating very, very strongly with the government. So they're around decision-making spaces, talking about what needs to be done, talking about how it needs to be improved. And the collaboration that we now have between duty bearers and women, the women human rights defenders, is very important because it has actually helped to change how they work when they're handling survivors of violence. The other bit is the leadership. And I think one of the things that we're seeing now is more women in peace structures. We have seen more women in these coordinating structures that are happening. But we also see a lot more women inviting the government to come and talk with them in activities that they do at community level. So there's more women visible, more women's voices, and we're starting to see more women leadership. Of course, we recognize that there has to be more, especially when you're looking now at elected leadership. That then goes to the activities we're doing where we're now starting to talk about harmful practices, where we start recognizing that women actually play and can do very good work as leaders. The attitude change that comes from just engaging in conversation around culture means we're starting to see that if we can see all these women at the community level being given spaces at community level, it is also possible that we'll start seeing a lot more women in elected positions. That is one. Second, we are seeing more women elected leaders receiving less abuse. We are seeing them also being respected. We're seeing the way people are engaging with the women leadership that is available within the county assembly in a much more respectful manner. So they're starting to recognize the value that women are playing. And that is important because it means that it allows more women an opportunity to actually now start coming forward because we're starting to see mind change, attitude change. We're starting to see communities canceling culture that is not seen to be positive and also stopping negative culture as well.
We need to invest mostly in terms of, we have a central platform for reporting. The policy of GBV, I don't know how it can be modified so that we have a digital way of reporting so that when somebody reports from Kimilili and recorded to the maybe police in Kimilili, somebody in the headquarters in Nairobi can track because a case can come, disappears in Kimilili, or maybe Kimilili to Bungoma. So that central reporting mechanism should be, we do a very serious investment in terms of we have a digital platform where a case is happening, you report, even if it's a chief, even if it's somebody like an ambassador for GBV can report. So it goes to a system, either in Nairobi, so that you have a neutral, because when you say Bungoma only, they can have that communication.
The fight to end gender-based violence is far from over. However, these men are rewriting the new narrative, challenging cultural norms and breaking the silence. Through education, advocacy, and collaboration, they are paving the way for a future where every person, regardless of gender, can live free from the shadows of violence. For KTN News, I'm Levis Msumba.